Kristen Bell is expressive, emotional, fun, and bubbly, but definitely not an ENFP. On the surface, sure, she fits ENFP stereotypes, but after over 7 hours of research looking into her cognitive functions, the personality patterns were actually completely different.
We stayed at this hotel that was right at Tivoli Gardens, which is like a 7-acre theme park, which apparently is maybe where Walt Disney got the idea for...
So much description.
Yeah, it's an old one, and you can look up all these cool images of people in like the 1920s, like with their parasols getting on these like...
She's very descriptive with her experience. It's not even hard for her to go, this is what was going on, this is the context. She adds lots of context.
It was 30 degrees when we shot that scene. It was shockingly cold in Los Angeles that night, and I was wearing like this off-the-shoulder thing, and that's why like they strategically placed the heat lamps behind us, and I had, I think, a big like woolly blanket over my lap.
Each time she looked and watched a scene, she had a story and it was very fleshed out. We were sitting there, we all had woolly blankets. She was able to really flesh out that image so clearly and with detail. A lot of people might think that's really easy, but if you try to pick a memory in your head and like think of how detailed you can go, it's actually not easy for a lot of people to do that.
And even just having those words and details top of mind. So with intuition versus sensing, that category in general is all about what type of information do you tend to focus on and magnify first? What type of information do you trust when you're sharing about things or learning things? The reason this is relevant, of course, is if people are thinking that she's an ENFP, it really doesn't seem like Kristen has trouble with focusing on or highlighting concrete sensory information. Extroverted intuition is a function that likes zooming out to guess and speculate about outside connections and possibilities. It's continuously looking around for how could this be connected differently? What if there's a different connection here that could be interesting to explore?
Collecting individual good lines that you have an idea for and kind of in a big note file, and then being like, oh, those are connected. These are connected. The consistent themes are the artist's life,
love, relationships to one's own personal actualization and their creativity,
the connection that an idea and a relationship to the divine have with those things, and the Paul and Joanne doc, the book The Bright Ray of Darkness, that's about a life on the stage. There are some consistent themes that I thought.
For ENFPs, because they have this function as their strongest natural preference, they're actually personality types that often need reminders to get more specific and detailed. Adding in context, being more realistic and grounded is something that can actually be sort of tiring or stressful for them because that's not the information that they're naturally paying attention to. And so seeing the way Kristen Bell was able to so easily flesh out details and specifics, add in context, and pull out specific stories, memories, and lessons, Kristen Bell being an ENFP with introverted sensing inferior just did not make sense.
It's not sensing inferior.
Yeah, at the very least, it seems like there's a sensing function in the top three as like a more comfortable preference. The second thing that didn't make sense about Kristen Bell being an ENFP was when it came to judging versus perceiving, her preference for how she likes to organize the outside world.
Okay, make sure everyone gets to school on time, make sure this gets done, make sure this gets done.
I read the ingredients on everything. Use organic materials whenever possible, like make sure we're supporting sustainable farming practices. And
I'm gonna learn to knit, I'm gonna play the piano, I'm gonna read all the books I wanna read. The best thing I saw on the internet, this is a pandemic, not a productivity contest. And I was like,
it turns out Kristen Bell is not a spontaneous go with the flow person. She actually really likes planning.
So you were wrong with the schedule, you feel like?
from my house, I was making everyone miserable. So my pivot was I let them have the joy of ripping up my beautiful color-coded schedule.
It's usually J, judging personality types that need reminders to be a little bit more open and spontaneous with things. It was interesting. Kristen Bell does actually use extroverted intuition quite a bit, but not as her strongest natural preference. With her, extroverted intuition showed up selectively, for fun every once in a while. It showed up as staying curious about new possibilities, liking to joke around and banter sometimes with funny ideas and unexpected connections. Even though there were splashes of extroverted intuition, it never showed up as her automatic shoulder shrug most favorite way of figuring things out and sharing. With Kristen, it was actually introverted sensing that we kept seeing her prefer over extroverted intuition. Practically what this looked like was Kristen Bell very comfortably going back to her personal concrete experiences to share context, personal stories, quotes, and lessons that stood out to her. It also showed up as a preparing preference, her liking to ground herself in what is. What she knows is more reliable and realistic because of her learnings and concrete lived experience.
It's a crunchy after dinner snack.
A crunchy after dinner snack of cheese? Nobody eats an after dinner cheese
It's
snack.
what we take to the sand dunes to snack on. Oh, it's rabbit food. It's what I eat in the garden.
Oh my goodness.
And it has the most antioxidant.
Chips.
Yeah, but what kind are the best kind?
In this clip, do you see how Kristen is pulling out all these specifics and details from experiences that are very personal to her, but that may not have been so top of mind or obvious to other people who weren't focusing on that same perspective?
No, it's very good. It's what kids like after dinner.
Oh my
and you
God.
make it up.
Time of day is not relevant, honey.
By the way, Kristen sharing her personal stories and experiences, I think sometimes gets confused for introverted feeling. Like it can seem like she's regularly opening up to share more personally about things.
Bubbly, perky, I'm always happy. I'm trying to do a great job raising my kids, to talk about the reality of my life, which is that like I get very anxious and I get depressed. Because kids do, you have to acknowledge, you know, that kids have emotions and you gotta let them get it out.
But if you pay close attention, she's not actually sharing her emotional convictions or how she's giving space to her feelings to weigh things out emotionally. Instead, what she's actually sharing are introverted sensing stories and experiences, personal lessons and grounding perspectives to help people reflect and find footing.
By way of looking at life as a cycle has really helped me. Like a flower. A flower starts as a sprout and then it grows into a beautiful flower and then it kind of withers and then it fertilizes the other plants. But do you know what I mean? Like everything has to have a cycle. Without it, the earth couldn't function. But I think when you zoom out, it becomes easier.
If you've ever had the chance to get advice from an introverted sensing personality type, something really special and underrated that they can bring to the table is often a very calming, reassuring perspective. A perspective that's like, yes, there are unknowns, change is hard, and there are hard experiences in life. But if we slow down, there's actually so many experiences in our story, in our journey, that we can remember, appreciate, and stay grounded in.
I can't operate if I don't have some part of the morning or evening with my family. Those bookends have to be intact for me.
I feel like we see each other a lot over the summer. In fact, we kind of went to camp together.
One other thing that really stood out to me was how every summer she and Jimmy see each other. And that's one thing that introverted sensing kind of are really good at, is like repeating an experience that is good.
It was beautiful. Well, we try to travel with the kids every summer. We're not gonna know the language and we're not gonna know what the smells are. It's kind of like a great way to sort of burst their bubble.
I think introverted sensing gets a bad rap for being a boring function. It's like, oh, they don't change. And actually that's just not true. What introverted sensing and Kristen Bell shows there is that if you repeat the experience, we're actually tracking the change that we have whenever we have that experience. Because every experience is gonna bring something different.
And also, like, how can we keep making this a better experience? It's not just repeating things over and over again for no reason. It's going, what is a good experience? What are the details and little components that make up a really good experience? And then how can we put that all together with some planning and effort to really take care of the experience and keep repeating a really, really good one?
So I ordered food the next year. Game changer. Best Thanksgiving I've ever had.
It's like having a vacation and going, oh, last time we went to this restaurant and it was really, really good. Or we tried this specific thing. Let's go there again. That was a really good experience. Last time we forgot to plan this thing and we showed up a little late and we missed this opportunity. So next time we want to learn from that and have a better experience. That type of tracking the details and learning from the mistakes is a really core part of introverted sensing. So at this point, the clues pointed to Kristen Bell being an SJ ESTJ personality type. But is she an ESJ or an ISJ? This brings us perfectly to our third ENFP red flag. By the way, if you're enjoying today's video and you are curious to see our full-length uncut reactions, behind-the-scenes commentary, analysis, discussion that's too in-depth or nuanced for YouTube, Kristen Bell is one of many tricky personality case studies we've looked into on my membership at learn.ericwen.com. The membership is seriously packed with so many celebrity analysis videos, in-depth explainers, and nuanced discussions that aren't gonna make it to YouTube. The membership is also where you can join live workshops, ask us questions directly, and even submit specific celebrities that you want us to analyze in our next exclusive videos. If you like this channel, the membership is seriously the best place to get the full experience. So if you're looking for more clarity, more examples that can help you better understand your personality type and others, check out the membership, learn.ericwen.com. Let's get back into the video.
There are very few things I do just for how it makes me feel. If I'm gonna do something, it's how does it make everybody feel? How will you react to it?
Over and over again, we kept hearing stories about how Kristen kept adjusting herself to outside needs and expectations.
So you can lose yourself in someone else's presence trying to be what they want.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
She talked about not really knowing herself and just doing whatever she thought she was supposed to fit in or match what other people wanted her to be.
I was always just like bubbles and rainbows and sunshine. I'll be anything that you need me to be. So I changed who I was often. I changed my interests based on what my friends liked. I really didn't realize that until I was in my 30s, that I had sort of changed for everybody.
She talked about it being an important lesson that she needed to learn to take care of herself or do what's right for her.
And my husband was sitting there with me, he's like, you know what? Stop trying to drive in other people's lanes. Don't use a goal, like figure out something more internal.
Typically, FPs and TPs, they tend to know who they are or what they stand for or what they believe in. And they tend to build their identity going, well, this is what I want to be and what is authentic to me. Alignment with the inner self.
Yeah, the way that those functions work is it's literally making decisions from a personal point of view. And so when you're doing that, you're going, no, this is what makes sense to me. This is what is important and of value for me. That involves getting to know yourself and
or just knowing yourself, like, yeah, I know.
And sort of asserting it and having some convictions about it, adjusting things all the time to your own personal decisions. And so the fact that she said,
He said, did you really like Antonio Banderas? Or were you just feeling left behind? And I was like, because I didn't realize it until that moment. I had like no sense of who I was at 14.
No sense of who I was.
Based on trying to fit in with the outside, that was like,
ding.
That is a really strange ENFP. Even when she was opening up about her mental health, look at how she's talking about it.
And then I just felt so inauthentic and irresponsible to have been presenting this like bubbly, happy person, which is someone that I cultivate and I nurture and I try really hard to exist as. I just wasn't being honest with the girls who may look up to me.
Do you see how she does mention being authentic and true to herself? But her actual priority, the thing that motivated her to actually open up and share about things, it was an outside duty, responsibility, and obligation.
And I just felt like the authentic version of me would share my whole story. I feel responsible for if I present this very...
It was a huge turning point in my life. I just felt a huge sense of responsibility.
There were a lot of shoulds. It was like, I think the outside should be like this. I think this is something we should take care of.
Support system. So if we collectively as a society, you know, it has to obviously be on the person to identify the feeling. But then I think it has to be on the people around them that love them to say, okay, let me see if I can support you.
All these personality patterns point to Kristen Bell being an EJ personality type, a personality type that likes managing and taking care of things by responding to the outside needs and expectations to an extent where they sometimes compromise themselves, sometimes overextend themselves for the outside instead of checking in with their inner personal needs or beliefs. So at this point, the personality patterns are pointing pretty clearly to Kristen being an ESJ personality type, but is she a thinker or a feeler? To figure this out, we have to look at how does Kristen like to help? How does she like to prioritize things when she's making her decisions.
There was no other response. It was like, yeah, let's get on with it. I like solutions people. When I'm at a doctor's appointment, they say, what are you allergic to, right? And I say, penicillin and inefficiency. That's the truth. I've always seen problems in the world, but now that I have this career, I realize I can be leveraged. I see a problem in the marketplace and I would like to fix it. Time is a non-renewable resource.
Oh my gosh.
The only non-renewable resource we have. Well, water, but I'm talking about time. That takes a lot of time and bandwidth. So I try to, with my career, create as efficient a schedule as possible.
Wow. That's awesome. With extroverted thinking at the top, there's just this natural awareness of, hey, this is how things work and this is how things get done. I want to be a part of that. I want to contribute to that. And I want to be involved with helping things functionally work better.
You give her funding, you give her managerial training, you allow her to make her area better, and then you help franchise that idea to other countries so that everyone on Earth lives a better life.
Kristen Bell is a really great example where you can see the kindness, you can see the sensitivity, you can see the
Bubbly
warmth.
personality.
Yeah, but when you're looking at how she's organizing things in her mind and how she's trying to take care of things, that's where you see suddenly more of that thinking, assessment, analysis, more detached approach to things.
Kristen Bell, she's a really cool ESTJ. I love that she's a great example of that because the stereotypes for ESTJs or TE DOMs is just like the mean, someone that doesn't know how to be kind or show emotion. She's showing warmth and a lot of emotional nuance. She even said, I want to be there for people, you know? Hardworking doesn't mean just hard work in one way. Hard work means like hard work in everything that you put into. Hard work in being a mother, hard work in being emotionally aware a little bit, hard work and working on yourself. Hard work doesn't mean, oh, I just work on work. It's like sometimes get over yourself because there's more important things out there.
Some of you might be thinking, if Kristen Bell actually is an ESTJ, aren't those personality types really bad with feeling? Why does Kristen relate to being emotional and crying all the time?
And I didn't know how to process that. First thing you should know about me, if I'm not between a 3 and a 7 on the emotional scale, I'm crying.
You're crying if it's
Too sad, I'm crying if I'm too
happy.
excited. Always.
So between
I start to have a full-fledged panic attack.
the cutest sloth.
That's mean, Ellen. So I think a lot of people will be like, well, if she's not an ENFP, why are there so many emotions? Why there's it's a lot of FI. Anyone with introverted feeling, if they haven't had a venue to learn how to process their emotions, they'll just start crying because they don't know how to and they don't have venues for it.
I don't know how to compete with all this emotion, so I just kind of crawl up on the bed and I'm crying so hard.
I've seen this a lot with STJs. They'll start talking about anything. It could be even just like simple things and they'll start crying. With TJs, they do have the emotional awareness. You know, like I know this is how I feel. But because they're preparing and planning for things, sometimes introverted feeling, processing that in the moment, that's a little bit chaotic. And therefore, when emotions are in a place where she doesn't know how to control it, it's just like, what do I do now? What do you mean there's no solution to this emotional situation? I don't have a way to make it go away? Like, that is scary.
I am empathetic to a fault that I cannot not put myself in that person's position, even when I don't want to. I identify anxiety and depression as too much of everything. Too much sadness and hurt and anger and too much of the negative emotions and nowhere to place it.
And like I said, other types with FI could also do that. However, you might want to listen to, is it the introverted feeling is not allowed because of the chaos that it brings in. Sometimes they haven't learned to actually process different emotions in the moment because that's something that they're like kind of sort of repressing and shutting down. I think that if people think that she's an ENFP, that's really cool, but it doesn't give credit to Kristen Bell and how much effort she said she puts into being a responsible role model. People put her in the ENFP bucket, but actually that bubbly personality is because She wants to show up for people. And that's a lot of work for her. She's carrying a load of responsibility on her shoulders, and it's just something she's willing to do. That's not easy.
Personality type isn't just for analyzing celebrities. We believe it's something that can actually change your life. Personally, it's helped me become a way better communicator. It's helped me find and choose better friends. It's helped me navigate a lot of tricky career decisions. It's helped me see ways I can be a better partner. Those are just some of the reasons why Z and I pour so much effort into these videos and care so much about sharing personality type with you guys. If you've been feeling unsure about 1 to 2 letters in your personality type, if you've been trying to learn online or from friends, but it started feeling really confusing and convoluted, I'd really recommend our MBTI Foundations class. It's a 3-step process designed to help you not only feel certain about your personality type, but actually see clear examples of how your wiring, your cognitive functions show up for you in real life. As well, we break down a bunch of practical ways you can use your personality type to grow and approach your blind spots differently. If any of that sounds interesting to you, each month we only have availability for 3 new students, so definitely check out the description, learn.ericwen.com. We'd love to have that quality one-on-one time with you and get to know you a little better. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. Catch you guys in the next ones. Peace, peace. Bye.